Hello, welcome to Alias Academy. In the course of this video lesson, I'll be taking you on a topic called decimal places and significant figures. After which we'll solve questions from the JAMB past questions. Now let's get started. Let's start with decimal places. Decimal places. The word decimal places. Decimal place. These are two keywords, decimal and place. So now, decimal. What do you mean by decimal? Decimal is just simply a point. A point, usually denoted as what? As this. What do you mean by decimal? Why place? The word place refers to as position. So now we are referring to the position of the decimal. The normal questions that will be given to you in JAMB will be correct this particular figure to a particular decimal place. It can be 2 decimal place, 3 decimal place, 4 decimal place. So let me use an example for you. If I have 5.204, I have 3.267, 8.2413. And the question says, these are different questions. We are assuming. This was just a brief example. Let me give this a space. Let me use 4.6810. And the question says that you take this first one to 2 decimal place, to 2 decimal place. It says that you take this to 1 decimal place, to 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place. It says that you take this to how many decimal place? Let me use 3 decimal place, to 3 decimal place. Now, to solve these questions in your JAMB, there are things you need to know. You need to know what we call round up. The word round up and the word round down. Now, what do we mean by round up? You can only round up a number that is 5 and above. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you round down a number that is less than 5, that is 4, 3, 2, 1. So now, to shed more light on round up, when you are rounding up, it means you are adding +1. You are adding +1. But to round down means you can't add anything. You will just leave that number alone. For example, let me use what I explained here. Let me use it for you here. Now, this question says, I should take this number 1 to 2 decimal place. 2 decimal place. So to take this to 2 decimal place, I need to start from the number immediately after my points. The number immediately after my points. And what is the number immediately after these points? I have 2. Now I'm taking it to how many decimal place? 2 decimal place. So now let's start. I'll be using a boundary. What do I mean by a boundary? I'll be doing like this. Boundary, this is what I mean, a boundary. Hope you understand. So now let's get started. To 2 decimal place. I'm starting from the number immediately after my point. 2 decimal place. That's 1, 2. So it means I've given a boundary between this 5.20 and the remaining one that is here, which is we already have 4. Because I have 4, I will round down. Because it is 4 that is here. That is at the end, or the other side of my boundary. At the right part of my boundary, I will do what? I will round down. It means, like I said, I cannot add anything to this. But if I have 5 and above, I will have added +1 to this. So that means my answer for this two decimal place for this will be 5.20. Now let me use this number 2 as an example again. The question says you should take this to 1 decimal place. Like I said, the first approach, you should start from the number immediately after your point. And what is the number immediately after my point? The number immediately after my point is 2. I'm taking it to how many decimal place? Just 1. So the number immediately after my point is what? 2. That's 1. I've given a boundary between 3.2 and 6.7. So what will I do? I will have to add +1 to this because what? The number here is more than 4. Is more than 4, which is 6. I told you, that means I'm going to do what? I'm going to round up. You round up when you have 5 and above. 5 and above. See, I've been able to add +1. In the previous example, I could not add +1 because I have less than 5, which is 4. So now that I have more than 4, which is 6. I'm going to add +1 to this other side of my boundary. So I'm going to have 3.3. Since I added +1 to this 2, becomes 3.3. That means I've been to this particular figure to 1 decimal place is what? 3.3. Now let me try this for you again. Still the same approach. As we said, you start from the number immediately after our decimal point. And what is the number immediately after our decimal point? It's 6. To how many decimal place? To 3 decimal place. Then I'll give it a, let's start with our boundary. 3 decimal place, I'll give 3 decimal place. The number immediately after our point is what? 6. So let's go. 1, 2, 3. To 3 decimal place. 3. So that means I've given a boundary between 4.681 and 0. 0 is the last in the other boundary. Because this is less than 5. It is less than 5. That means I'm going to round down. Rounding down means I cannot add +1 to this. So that means I'll be having 4.681. That's my answer. That's how to work with decimal place when you're giving in JAMB. So the approach to JAMB means JAMB will give you in different ways, which is what you are going to solve very soon. Now, let me now quickly move on to significant figure. There's just similar stuff, but there's just a misconception between significant figure and decimal place, which I'm going to shed more light on this. After which we'll now solve questions from our JAMB past questions. Just stay tuned. Starting with significant figure, the word significant figure is also 2 keywords. The word significant, and the word figure. Significant means something important and something essential. Something important. Something essential. Why your figure is your numeric number, your 1, numeric number, your numbers, your 1, 0, 1 and above. These are your numeric numbers. That would mean by figure. Now, so what significant figure? Joining these words together, important numbers. What is it trying to tell us is numbers that are important. It's trying to separate numbers that are important from numbers that are not important. Now, what are the numbers that are important? What significant figure is trying to say is that when you see a number, please take note. When you see a number, you don't start your significance figure from a number that is starting with 0. You start from the non-zero. You'll be given a question like this in different form. You start with the number that is starting with 0. Imagine this is 1, this is 2. You don't start with 0. These are not significant. The one that is significant is this. It's 246. 213. These are what is significant. And at times you can be given a question that says like this. 3.4131. So two significant figure. You start with, since a number that since 3 is starting, it is significant. In as much as it's not 0 that is starting, it is significant. But it can also be trapped. JAMB can trap you and put, because they know the approach. They can give you 3.201. Two significant figure. Let me say to 3 significant figure, to 3 significant figure, 3 significant figure, 3 significant figure. Take this to 3 significant figure. And I told you I'm going to start from the number that is a non-zero, 3. Imagine I start from here. A non-zero, 1, 2, 3. In as much as my boundary capture this 0, then my answer will be 3.20. Let me give you another example. A question says, take 4.215 to two significant figure. In significant figures also, you also round up and round down. It's not the same approach like I told you earlier during your decimal places. You also round up. Remember, you round up when you have 5 and above. Means you add +1. But you round down when you have less than 5. Means you cannot add +1. It's not the same approach here. You need the same approach. So now, I have 4.215 to so many significant figure. I think I said 2. To 2 significant figure. Since I know that I'm starting from the first non-zero, I didn't have 0 here. The first non-zero. 4 is my first non-zero. Now I have 1, 2. So I'm going to take the numbers that my boundary capture. My boundary is capturing only the left-hand side. So I will having 4.2. You can see this is less. The other, you can see this one. 1 is less than 5. Let's say it is 5 that is here. I will have added +1 to this and it become 4.3. But since it is 1 that is here, less than 5, I'll be having 4.2 as my answer. So for better understanding, let's solve our JAMB past question. As we solve a JAMB past question, you get to have more understanding on the difference between significant figure and decimal place. This is JAMB past question 1980, question 13. And it says, write down the number 0.0052048 correct to 3 significant figures. These are the options. Now, how do we start? It says write down the number 0.0052048. But you take this particular number to 3 significant figures. Now, let's bring it out. 0.0052048. 2 3 significant figure. Now let's take, according to the rule I gave you on significant figure, I said you start from the first non-zero. According to this figure, What's your first non-zero? We have 5. Now, let's start. Let's take it to 3 significant figure by drawing our boundaries. Now, let's start. 1, 2, 3. So the first thing to do here is to either round up or round down. And what determines the first figure after our boundary? We have 4. So now, I will do what? I will round down because it is less than 5 according to the rules I gave you from round up and round down. So I will round down. I'll round down now. This I can't add 1. So my answer will be what? It will be what? 0.00520. That is option what? Option C. Now let's solve another question. This is JAMB past question 1981, question 7, and it says, evaluate correct to 4 decimal place 827.51 times 0.015, and these are the options. Be careful about this question. It first says evaluate. That's the first thing. You evaluate means your normal multiplication, which is 827.51 times 0.015. Your normal multiplication, that's the first thing you do. Your answer, you now take it to 4 decimal place. So just be careful. They should have put a comma here to caution you, but there's no comma here. That's why I didn't bother to put it. Because I can't teach JAMB what I'm going to do. So now let's continue. Let's start. 827.51 times 0.015. In your JAMB, when you write JAMB, you'll be given a market calculator or your system. What we call market calculator means you can only use it to do normal multiplication, addition, and not complex calculation. So now, 827.51 times 0.015. You put it on your calculator. I've solved it, and I got 12.41265. This is what I got after evaluating. According to JAMB, they said I should evaluate. This is what I got after evaluating. Then I'll now bring my answer for my evaluation, which is what? 12.41265. Then I'm to do what? I'm to take it to 4 decimal place, according to the question. 4 decimal place. Now to take it to 4 decimal place. 4 decimal place. What do I tell you about decimal place? You start from the number immediately after your point for decimal place. It's different from singular figure. For decimal place, you start from the number immediately after your decimal points. Now, let's start by drawing our boundary. Take 4 decimal place. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first number immediately after my boundary is what? 5. You know, I told you that means I'm going to do what? I'm going to round up. You round up when you have 5 and above. I'm going to round up, meaning I'm going to add +1. So my answer will be 12.4127. What option is that? 12.4127. That's option B. Option B. That's my correct answer. So JAMB past question 1981, question 7. Let's move on to another one for more understanding. This is JAMB past question 1981, question 29. And it says, evaluate 6.3 times 10 to the power 5 over 8.1 times 10 to the power 3 to 3 significant figure. So what this question is trying to tell you is, you need to first solve. You solve this. Your answer will take it to 3 significant figure. Now, but to solve this, it involves indices. It involves what? Indices. But I understand that we are on decimal place and significant figure. But let me just take you on a journey of indices. It's not hard. Just a brief explanation and you are going to grab it. Just listen attentively. Now, so indices, we have so many laws in indices. But to solve this particular question, we need what we call the division law. Not only the division law I'm going to explain here. So to solve the division law, you have division law. So the division law says when you have a raised to the power of 5 and a raised to the power of 3, where a represents a particular figure, but the same figure. For example, where a is equals to 10. Let me use 10. Where a is equals to 10, it means I have 10 raised to the power of 5 here, and I have 10 raised to the power of 3 here. So let me just do that. 10 raised to the power of 5 and 10 raised to the power of 3. So division law says when I have something like this, what I will just do is I will just take one of the 10, one of it, then I'll bring the one up as 5 minus this division becomes minus 3. So becomes 10 raised to the power of 5 minus 3 becomes what? 2. So this is what we call the division law. So this is the understanding of this knowledge is what you need to solve this particular question. Now let us now use this particular law that we have gotten from here to solve this question. Now, the question says evaluate 6.3 times 10 to the power 5 over 8.1 times 10 to the power 3. So let me do that. 6.3 times 10 to the power of 5 over 8.1 times 10 to the power of 3. Which is still the same thing as having 6.3 over 8.1 times 10 raised to the power of 5 over 10 raised to the power of 3. So from here, you just take your calculator, go to your JAMB calculator and do the division of 6.3 divided by 81. I've done that already and I got 0.778 times this. No, I'll explain to you here. By when you have this division law says, I will just take one of these 10 and my numerator, the power in my numerator, which is what? 5. My division sign becomes minus. And my denominator is what? 3. So it becomes 0.778 times 10 raised to the power 2. So when you do this, you have 0.778 times 10 raised to the power 2 is what? 100 times 100. So this becomes, so when you do the multiplication of this, I have 77.777. So I've done my first step where I was told to evaluate. Now after evaluating, and now I'm to take it to how many significant figure? 3 significant figure. And according to the significant figure, I told you start from the first non-zero. We don't even have a 0 here. So the first non-zero here will be what? This first 7. So how many significant figures? 3 significant figures. So now let's start. 1, 2, 3. Since the number immediately after my boundary is 5 and above, which is 7, I'm going to do what? I'm going to round up by adding plus 1. Plus 1. So my answer becomes what? 7.8. So I add plus 1 to this side becomes 8. 7.8. So where do I have that here? 7.8, which is option A. 7.8. You check your options round. This is our best option. 7.8, 7.8, 0. Still the same thing. Option A is my final answer. So let's solve one more question. This is JAMB past question 1987, question 4. And it says, reduce each number to 2 significant figures and then evaluate. We have 0.021741 times 1.2047 over 0.023789. These are the options. It says we first reduce each number to 2 significant figures, then evaluate. Means you first of all reduce everything here to 2 significant figures. After which you now evaluate, means you do your normal multiplication. You know, previously, the previous example we have been doing, we evaluate first before we now take it to particular significant figure or decimal place. But here, you take it to significant figure first before you now evaluate. You can see JAMB has their own way of playing things. Now, let's start. To reduce this to 2 significant figures, our normal rules apply. Start from the first non-zero. In significant figure, you start from the first non-zero. And what is our first non-zero here? Is 2. So let's do our boundary to 2 significant figure. 2 significant figure. Take note of it. 2 significant figure. 1, 2. So after drawing my boundary, I have 7. After my boundary, means I'm going to add plus 1 to this one. So my answer will now be 0.022. Hope you understood. Times, let's reduce this to 2 significant figure. For the first non-zero, first non-zero here is 1. So now let's start. 1, 2. What I have immediately after my boundary is what? 0. I cannot add plus 1. So I'll be having 1.2 over, starting from the first non-zero, which is 2 to 2 significant figure. 1, 2. I have 7 here. I'm going to add plus 1 since it is 5 and above. Add plus 1. So I have 0.024, which is equals to. So now you evaluate your normal multiplication. In calculator, you evaluate. So after doing that, I got 0.0264. You can punch your calculator. And you get 0. Multiply 0.022 times 1.2, you get 0.026 over 0.024 that we have here. So when you divide this by this, your answer gives you 1.1. 1.1. Then 1.1 is option C. That's my final answer. Option C. So far, so good. You have been able to solve some JAMB questions on decimal places and significant figure. So if you are able to watch this video to this end, kindly subscribe, like, and share my videos. Stay tuned for more videos.